The cold street snow fell from the dark sky like tiny white feathers. The city was quiet. No sound, no life. Everything was cold. The buildings were tall, gray, and covered with ice. Frozen lights blinked slowly. The wind was sharp, like knives. In the air, a small girl walked alone in the middle of the street. She was not human. Her skin was light blue, and her eyes were big and silver. Her name was Nira. She wore an old coat, too big for her tiny body. Her feet were bare. No shoes, no gloves. Just cold. Her breath came out in white clouds. Her hands were shaking. She looked tired. Her steps were slow. She knocked on the first door, knock, knock. No answer. She waited. Her teeth were chattering. A light came on behind the window. A shadow moved. Then a voice spoke. "Go away," the voice said. "We don't have anything for you." The light turned off. Nir wiped her nose and moved to the next house. Knock. Knock. Nothing. She knocked harder. "Please," she whispered. Just a little warmth. The door opened a little. An old alien lady looked at her. "Why are you alone?" The woman asked. I have no one," Nira said. "My parents. They are gone. I'm cold." The old lady looked around, then shook her head. "You will bring trouble. Go somewhere else." Slam the door closed. Nair stood there for a few seconds. Her legs felt weak. Her fingers had no feeling now. Her coat had a hole in the back. Cold wind went straight through it. She walked again. Every few steps, she coughed. Her lips had turned dark blue. She knocked on the third door. Nothing. Not even a voice this time. More doors. More silence. Some houses had people inside. She could hear them laughing, eating, living. But none opened the door. No one wanted to help a small alien girl. Not tonight. Nira's eyes filled with tears, but they froze before they could fall. She stopped walking. She saw a small step in front of a quiet house. No lights, no sound. She sat down. Her legs hurt. Her hands were purple now. Her body was losing the fight. She looked at the sky. Snow was still falling. "I don't want to die," she whispered. Then, suddenly, a sound. Click. A door creaked open behind her. Light spilled out onto the snow. A warm light, yellow, soft, a shadow moved at the door. Nira turned her head slowly. A strange creature stood in the doorway. Tall, broad shoulders, brown skin, 2 eyes. A human. He wore a thick coat and gloves. His face looked surprised, but kind. "What the hell?" he whispered. "Kid, are you okay?" Nira couldn't speak. Her mouth was frozen. The human stepped forward. "You're freezing. Come inside, quick." She didn't move. He knelt down and gently picked her up in his arms. "You're light as a feather," he said softly. "Let's get you warm." Nira wanted to fight, but she had no strength. Her head rested on his shoulder. The warmth of his coat felt like magic. Her eyes closed as the door shut behind them. The snow kept falling. The house was silent again. Darkness. That's all Nira saw. But then something soft touched her skin. Not snow, not cold. Warmth. Her eyes opened slowly. She was lying on a soft couch, wrapped in thick blankets. A small heater glowed in the corner, humming gently. The room smelled like soup. Her body was still shaking, but not freezing anymore. She tried to sit up. "Easy," a calm voice said. She turned. The human stood nearby. He held a steaming cup in his hand. "You've been sleeping for 6 hours," he said. "Drink this. It'll help." Nira didn't take the cup. She stared at him with wide eyes. Quiet, still. She had never seen a human this close before. Everyone in the city said humans were monsters, dangerous, selfish. But this one had saved her. He looked tired. Lines around his eyes, his beard was short. But messy. He wore simple clothes. A scar ran down one side of his neck, old but deep. "I'm Ray," he said. "You don't have to talk yet. Just rest." Still, she didn't answer. She watched his every move, like a bird ready to fly. Ray didn't force her. He placed the cup near her and walked to the kitchen. She looked around the room. There were books, old tech parts, a dusty jacket with a broken badge that read, "Medic, Medic." A doctor. Her hand reached for the cup. Warm. She took a small sip. It tasted strange, like herbs and salt. But good. Ray returned and sat on a chair near the fire. "You from the South Sector?" he asked softly. She gave a small nod. "What's your name?" She opened her mouth. Her voice came out dry. "Nira." Ray smiled just a little. "That's a good name." They sat in silence. The fire crackled. Outside, the snow kept falling. Then, she spoke again. "Why did you help me?" Ray looked at the fire. "I've seen too many kids freeze on these streets," he said. "Couldn't let it happen again." Nira's eyes narrowed. "Even if I'm not human." Ray turned his head. "Especially because you're not." She didn't understand. "Nobody ever said that before." "Where are your parents?" he asked. "Gone." She said quietly. "Taken last winter." Ray looked down. "I'm sorry," Nira asked. "You live alone?" Ray nodded. For a long time now, he stood and went to the window, pulled the curtain aside just a little, then quickly let it fall. "People out there don't like when humans help aliens," he said. "NIRA set up more. You're in danger because of me." Ray smiled, but it was a sad smile. "I was in danger long before you came." Suddenly, a small light blinked on a table. A device. Ray picked it up. He walked into the next room and closed the door. Nira sat up. Her body still ached, but she could move now. She stood slowly, walked to the door, and listened. She heard Ray's voice. Low and fast. "No, I didn't turn her in. She's just a kid. No, I don't care what the rules are." A pause. "If they come here, I'll deal with it." Then silence. Nira stepped back quickly as the door opened. Ray looked surprised for a moment. "You shouldn't be walking yet." He said, "Who were you talking to?" she asked. Ray didn't answer. He just said, "There are people who don't believe in kindness. I try not to listen to them." Nira stared at him. Something about this human felt different, while also dangerous. She didn't know if she could trust him, but she also knew one thing. He was the only one who opened the door. She had never seen fire before, not like this. Not cold fire from broken city wires, but real fire, alive, moving. Warm. Nira sat near the heater, watching the flames dance behind the glass. They reminded her of something, a memory she couldn't touch. Maybe her mother's hands. Maybe the sun before the skies turned gray. Across the room, Ray worked with quiet hands. He was fixing a small robot on the table, something old and rusty, but still blinking. "You're quiet today," he said without looking up. Nira didn't reply. She was thinking, "Why do you live so far from others?" she finally asked. Ray paused. He tightened a screw and wiped his hands. "People stopped visiting a long time ago," he said. "I got used to the silence." But you saved me," she said. "You broke the rules." Ray gave a soft laugh. "The rules are broken already." He stood up and brought her a small bowl of warm stew. She took it carefully. "You still think I'm dangerous?" he asked. Nira looked at him, searching his face. It was hard, but not cruel. "No," she said. "But I think the world is dangerous. And you live in it." Ray nodded slowly. Smart girl. Later that night, Nira woke to a strange sound. A buzz. A soft beep. Metal clicking. She tiptoed into the hallway. The door to Ray's lab was half open. Inside, he was speaking again. Not to her, but to someone through a glowing screen. "I know what I'm doing," Ray said firmly. "She's just a child. That should matter." A voice crackled back through the device, but Nira couldn't understand the words. Too fast. Too coded. Ray ended the call and turned. Nira stepped back. But too late, he saw her. "You were listening," he said. Nira didn't run. She stood still. "Are you going to give me to the enforcers?" she asked. Ray's eyes flashed with something sharp. "Not anger, pain. I'm not giving you to anyone," he said. He walked past her and sat down on the old couch. "I used to believe in the system," he said. "I was a medic during the outer wars, helped both sides. Didn't matter who they were, human, alien, hybrid. If they bled, I helped." Nira moved closer, listening. "But after the war," he continued, "the rules changed. Suddenly, kindness became illegal. Mercy was weakness. People like me, we disappeared." Nira sat down beside him. "So why risk it now?" she asked. "Why me?" Ray reached into his coat and pulled out a small photograph. He handed it to her. A little girl. Not alien. Human. Dark hair. Bright eyes. "My daughter," Ray said. "Her name was Elia. She was your age. What happened to her?" Nira asked quietly. Ray's voice dropped. "She got sick. We tried to get help, knocked on every door. No one opened. Not one." Nira held the photo gently. "She didn't make it." Ray said. Silence filled the room. And then a knock at the door. Knock, knock. Ray stood quickly. He looked out the window. Two shadows stood at the gate. He turned to Nira. His face had changed. "But alert. Go, hide behind the wall. Don't make a sound." Nira ran. Ray opened the door slightly. Two enforcers stood outside, one alien, one human. Their armor was black and cold. "We have reports of a missing girl," one said. "Alien, small, blue skin." "I haven't seen anyone," Ray replied. They looked past him. "Mind if we take a look inside?" Ray smiled. "Actually, I do mind." The enforcers stepped forward, but Ray didn't move. "House check requires." "A level 4 warrant," he said. "You don't have it?" A long pause. One enforcer narrowed his eyes. Then they both stepped back. "We'll be back." Ray shut the door. Locked it. He waited. When it was quiet again, he called, "You can come out now." Nira stepped in too. The light, her heart was beating fast. "They'll come back," she said. Ray nodded. "Yes, they will." He picked up a small device from the table, a black square with blinking lights. "What's that?" she asked. Ray looked at her plan. B. Asterisk. The first thing Nira noticed was the silence. Not the quiet kind, but the heavy kind. The kind that pressed on your chest like a secret. She stood in Ray's living room, watching the shadows move on the walls as the firelight flickered. Ray was in his lab again. The strange black device still blinked softly on the table. Nira walked over to it. It looked simple, almost harmless, but something about it felt alive. She didn't touch it. Instead, she turned and looked around the room more carefully. She'd never had time to look before, not really. Now her eyes searched every shelf, every picture frame. On one shelf was a glass box. Inside it, an old folded uniform, dark green, worn by time. The name tag read, R. Mallowfield, Medic, Nay. Used to be someone important. She thought next to it was something strange. A torn-up patch from a military jacket. It didn't belong to the same uniform. It was alien. She stepped back. That's when Ray entered the room. "You're curious?" he said calmly. "That's good." She looked at him, unsure what to say. Ray sat down on the couch and leaned forward. I told you I helped both sides during the war, he said. But I didn't tell you who I really worked for. He opened a drawer and pulled out a small tablet. With a tap, a photo appeared on screen. Ray Younger, standing beside alien soldiers. You worked with the rebels. Nira asked. Ray nodded. And the government? And the peacekeepers. I changed sides more times than I can count. Not for money, but for people. He put the tablet down. Everyone was lying. I just tried to save lives in the middle of it. Nira sat beside him. I thought humans hated aliens, she said. Ray looked at her, his face sad. Some do, some don't. Just like some aliens hate us. But hate spreads faster than truth. Suddenly, the black device on the table buzzed. Ray grabbed it and turned it off instantly. Nira looked at him. What is that thing? Ray hesitated, then answered. A distress beacon. For the resistance. Her eyes widened. You're with them. Not anymore, Ray said. I left years ago, but they still listen when I call. Nira stood up. You want them to take me? Ray's voice was calm. No, I want them to protect you. You can't stay here forever. The enforcers will come back. Nira crossed her arms. I don't want to leave. You're the only person who helped me. Ray didn't smile this time. I'm also the reason they'll keep searching this house, he said. If they find you here, they'll arrest us both, or worse. She was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had lived in her heart. Since the first night, why do I remind you of her? Ray looked up slowly. You don't, he said. You're nothing like Elia. Nira blinked. You're braver? He stood up and walked to the window. Snow was falling again. Get some sleep, he said. Tomorrow, I'll send a message. We'll get you out safely. That night, Nira couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the way Ray looked. At the snow, like it was trying to bury the world he once knew. She got up quietly and walked toward the lab. The door was open, just a crack. Inside was a wall covered in photos, maps, and names, most crossed out in red. The last photo at the bottom was hers. It had been taken from a street camera. Her face, blurry, but clear enough. Next to it, written in marker, Target, alive, last seen near Sector 6. Suddenly, a voice behind her. You weren't supposed to see that. Ray stood in the hallway, arms crossed. Nira stepped back. You lied to me? Ray didn't move. No, I just didn't tell you everything. Why do you have that picture? I intercepted it, he said. The government sent your file to bounty hunters. Someone wants you alive. Why? She whispered. I don't know, but it means you're important. Nira's hands were shaking again, but not from cold this time, from fear. Are you using me? She asked. Ray walked toward her slowly, carefully. I had a choice. He said, turn you in or save you. I chose to save you. But now you want to send me away because they're coming. He pointed to the blinking red light on the wall. Security breach. Someone was outside. The alarm wasn't loud, but it was sharp. Beep, 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 like a heartbeat speeding up. Ray slammed his palm on the wall. The sound stopped, but the red light kept flashing. Nira stood frozen in the hallway. The fear in her chest returned. Heavy, familiar. Someone's at the perimeter, Ray said quickly. They're scanning the house. Enforcers. Nira asked. Maybe? He said. Maybe worse. Ray rushed into his lab and pulled out a black case. He opened it. Inside was a small, round device, glowing blue in the center. This is a phase map, he said. It will guide you to the edge of the city to a safe point. Once activated, it erases its path so no one can trace you. He placed it in her hands. You're leaving now. Nira looked at him. eyes wide. No, I'm not going without you. Ray paused. His voice dropped low. I'm not leaving. They'll expect 2 runners, not 1. I don't care, she said. You helped me. I'm not letting them take. You, Ray gave a tired smile, half proud, half heartbroken. You sound just like her, he whispered. Elia. He nodded. He handed her a coat, heavier, newer than hers. Down the basement, he said. Old tunnel behind the generator. It'll take you 3 blocks away. She didn't move. Ray knelt down, held her shoulders gently. Neera, listen. To me, I brought you back to life. You don't owe me anything. But you owe yourself a future. Don't waste it on a stubborn old man like me. Tears filled her eyes. But what if they kill you? Ray shrugged. Then I'll go down buying you time. He stood and turned to the panel near the front door. His fingers moved fast, typing something. What are you doing? She asked. Locking the system. If they come in, they'll find. The wrong floor plan? I'll stall them. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A voice came through the wall speaker. House M442. This is Enforcer Patrol. Open the door immediately. Ray glanced at her. Go. Neera backed away. But before she turned, she ran forward, hugged him tight. Ray froze. Then hugged her back. Thank you, she whispered. No, he said. Thank you for reminding me why I still fight. She ran to the basement door and disappeared into the dark. Outside, the enforcers stood in formation. Their visors glowed red. Behind them, a black hovercraft hummed low and quiet. Inside, Ray opened the door slowly. 2 officers stepped forward. You refused a search once, the leader said. That time is over. Ray raised his hands. Go ahead. Just mind the books. They're older than you. They pushed past him as they searched. Ray calmly walked to the fire, sat down, and picked up a mug. Want coffee? Huh? He asked. No answer. Upstairs, an officer shouted, Clear. Basement, clear. Nothing here, the leader growled. You're hiding her somewhere else. Ray leaned back in his chair. Or maybe she was never here. The officer stared at him. We'll be watching you. Ray smiled. I'd be offended if you didn't. They left. Ray waited. Waited longer. Finally, when the house was silent again, he whispered toward the wall. Run fast, kid. Somewhere. Far below the city, Neera followed the glowing light of the phase map. Tunnels twisted like veins under the streets. She was alone, but not afraid. Every step was freedom, and every step forward was one step further from the cold. Asterisk freedom has a sound to Neera. It sounded like her own footsteps echoing through a tunnel, heart pounding, breath steady, air sharp and metallic. She followed the glowing blue pulse of the phase map. It blinked once every few seconds, guiding her through the maze below the city, left, right, up a ladder. She reached a rusted exit door, pushed it slowly, and stepped into open air. The cold bit her face instantly, but this cold felt different. She was alive. She looked around. The edge of the city was close now. Broken fences, silent watchtowers. Beyond them, old forests, mountains, freedom. But then, a voice behind her. You made good time. Neera spun around. It was him. The neighbor, the alien who lived next door to Ray. Thin, tall, quiet, always watching. She stepped back. How did you find me? He stepped forward, hands behind his back. His face calm. You humans, he said softly, always forget your tunnels have ears. I'm not human, she said. He smiled. Exactly. Before she could run, 2 enforcers stepped out from the shadows. They grabbed her fast. One pressed a metal cuff to her wrist. Her body froze instantly. Paralyzed, the neighbor leaned down beside her, voice cold. "You're not special because you escaped," he said. "You're special because someone wants you alive." He turned to the soldiers. "Take her to holding station 9 and keep her in the dark." Hours later, Nira woke up in a metal room. No windows. One flickering light. Her coat was gone. So, was the phase map. She sat up slowly. Heads spinning around her were others. Alien children, older teens, even some humans, all locked in. One girl whispered, "Don't talk too loud." "They're listening?" Nira asked. "Where are we?" The girl looked at her. "You don't know? This is where they keep the ones they can't kill." Back at Ray's house, he stood by the window. Snow fell quietly. Something was wrong, too. Quiet, the enforcers hadn't returned. No new scans, no surveillance drones. Then, a beep. His tablet lit up, signal lost. Phase map disabled. Ray's hands tightened around the edge of the table. No. He picked up the black distress beacon and slammed it onto the panel. "This is Ray Mallow. Emergency code, burn point. They took the girl. I'm requesting immediate retrieval support." A voice answered through static. "Message received. Resistance unit deploying." Ray grabbed his coat, his old field medic pack, and one. Last thing, Elia's photo. He looked at it for one long second. "I couldn't save you," he whispered, "but I'll save her." Inside holding station 9, Nira sat in the corner, arms around her knees. She wasn't crying, she was planning. The cuff on her wrist blinked red. But she noticed something. Every time it blinked, the lights in the wall flickered. Was it synced? Could she break it? Then she remembered Ray's words. "Everything breaks if you know where to hit it." She stared at the locked dot, and for the first time since capture, she smiled. Sometimes, hope begins in silence. Nira sat still in the cold cell, Kiza eyes closed, lips barely moving. Not praying, not crying, counting 1. Blink 2, top pause. 3. Blinks the wrist cuff's red light was glitching. Just like she thought. She waited for the next pulse, then slammed her hand. Into the metal wall beside her, sparks flew. The cuff burst off her wrist. The door didn't open, but something beeped across the room. Another prisoner looked up. "You just did that." Nira nodded. The kid grinned. "You're not just another lost girl, are you?" "No," she said quietly. "And I'm not alone." Outside holding Station 9's snowstorm. A small transport vehicle moved through the night, fast, low, quiet. Inside sat Ray. Old armor, cold eyes, determined heart. Next to him, 2 resistance fighters, masked, armed, rescue only. 1. Ask. Ray shook his head. "Rescue and destroy the data vault." "She's not just a refugee, is she?" Ray looked out the window. "No, she's proof." Inside the prison, an explosion rocked the far end of the hallway. Guards shouted, smoke filled the air, lights went out. In the chaos, Nira ran faster than she ever had. She grabbed keys, opened doors, freed the others. Children, teens, broken souls all running behind her. A second blast shook the ground. Ray burst in through the east wall, gun raised, armor scorched. His eyes met Nira's, and for a second time, stopped. "You came back," she said, breathless. He smiled. "Told you, I don't leave people behind." Together, they fought through the corridors. Ray was fast. Nira was faster. He opened fire. She opened doors. They made it to the data vault, giant servers humming with power. Nira stared at the core. "What's in there?" she asked. Ray placed a charge. Proof they've been experimenting on alien children. Proof the enforcers lie. If this gets out, the war changes. He set the timer. "Let's finish this." Minutes later, the sky lit up behind them. Holding Station 9 collapsed in a wave of fire and ash from the edge of the hill. Nira looked back, her eyes full of light, not fear. Ray sat beside her, bandaging a wound on his arm. "You saved more than me tonight," she said. He looked at her. "No, you saved them. You freed them." She shook her head. "You opened the door." That's where it started. He didn't answer. Because sometimes, truth doesn't need words. 3 months later, the city had changed. Graffiti on every wall. She lives, she ran, she returned. Her name was Nira. She was more than a story now. She was a symbol, and beside her always walked one, human. The one who opened the door. The one who remembered what mercy felt like because of one human. Everything. Change.HFY. Humanity F***, yeah. ***.